two. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our weekly media briefing and public health update with Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgili, Hispanic Public Information Officer, and joining the County Executive today is newly confirmed Assistant Chief Administrative Officer Luisa Cardona. Also joining us today is Dr. Keisha Davis, the county's health officer, as well as Sarah Kogel-Smoker, climate change officer, and Mr. Brian Boer, who is a senior planning specialist at the Department of Environmental Protection. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Good afternoon, Mr. County Executive. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us again today. I've been an electric vehicle driver since about 2013, and I've enjoyed it, and how quiet they ride, the performance, and most importantly, the savings from fuel costs. When I started with my first electric vehicle, I had about 90-mile range on a good day. And I managed to manage that, I will say, and admit that that was difficult mileage range to deal with in the real world. But today's EVs are closer to over to 200 to 300-mile ranges and much more realistic for drivers. And it's a big game changer if you're an EV owner. For a long time, an EV owner was also had to deal with the lack of charging stations, but the number and power of charging stations has greatly increased. And a lot of that's due to the Biden administration and the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, which gave us, as well as many other jurisdictions, funds to expand our EV infrastructure. For more than a decade, we've seen the benefits of a federal EV tax credit that helped push sales and the number of people who have traded in their more traditional vehicles for plug-in versions. Those incentives are, grew to $7,500 for new vehicles and $4,000 for used ones. But that incentive program is ending on September 30th. The sunset of this program is a direct result of the Trump administration's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Basically, all this was sacrificed to give more tax cuts to billionaires, which is a horrible way to use your budgetary authority. It reduces clean energy incentives that had been enhanced by Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, and it wrecks a program that was working to change habits and produce a greener future. But just as bad, whether it's EVs, solar panels, or windmills, what this nation's doing is ceding market share of renewable energy technologies to foreign nations, especially China. And you can just look at this graph, and that we just put on the screen that shows global EV sales, and just note that both the light and dark blue sections are China, the green is Europe, and yellow is the United States. And divesting in federal EV programs hurts our ability to gain market share, and stifling clean energy solutions like EVs and windmills and pushing gas vehicles as an alternative actually not only harms the environment, but it harms domestic car companies and global markets. While the rest of the world is doubling down on EVs and clean energy, the U.S. seems to be walking away because of our oil and gas companies and their disproportionate sway over political decisions in this country. The U.S. has fallen out of sync with most of the world. The Biden administration understood that, which is why they were investing so much in renewable technologies to catch up. But now we're going backward with the Trump administration. The end of the EV tax credits is just another attack on technologies that threaten fossil fuel company profits, and it prevents American companies from being competitive in global markets. It is, a little bit bizarre that you're harming multiple companies that are also American just for the benefit of the oil and gas industries. In order to take advantage of EV incentives before the deadline, EV users have to purchase or lease and take delivery of a vehicle before the end of September. The credit is non-refundable, meaning it can only reduce the taxpayer's tax liability and won't result in a refund beyond that amount. Dealers have the best information about how to maximize the credit, so it's a good idea to talk to them directly. This change is also going to end the transfer of credit that dealerships are allowed to offer resellers of an EV vehicle. In Montgomery County, we led the state in switching to EVs with 31% of Maryland's plug-in vehicles that are registered. Those vehicles are parked in Montgomery County. We have at least 40,000 plug-in EVs in Montgomery County, and we've worked to increase EV adoption through an EV purchasing co-op dealership incentives program, and infrastructure development, program. We've been installing EV chargers in public parking garages. We've also been transforming the county's fleet to EVs by buying only zero-emission vehicles when we need to replace county sedans. I believe this is the best way forward to help cut down on greenhouse gas emissions and choose a sustainable way forward. I hope those with EVs continue talking up the benefit of getting away from gas guzzlers. I know that it's a change that I don't regret as a driver. And on the topic of EVs, Poolsville Green has been a big champion of EVs, and this Saturday they will be hosting an EV event as part of the Poolsville Day. It's a great fun and to check out the opportunity to see different electric vehicles there. And I'm going to be there on Saturday for Poolsville Day breakfast, and I appreciate Poolsville's efforts to spread the word about EVs. Today we have Brian Bower on, a senior planning specialist with the county's Department of Environmental Protection, and he's going to join us to talk a little bit more about EVs in the county. So welcome, Brian.
Thank you, County Executive Elrich. My name is Brian Boer, Senior Planning Specialist for Zero Emission Vehicles with DEP. And as the County Executive said, we really want to get the word out about the federal tax credit ending on September 30th. We've had a lot of residents that have been able to take advantage of this tax credit. We want everybody to be able to take advantage of it while it's still there. In addition to getting the $7,500 tax credit for new vehicles, many of our local dealers are also offering extremely generous lease and financing deals this month. We have 7 dealerships advertising incentives through our EV purchasing co-op program this month. I think that's the most number of dealerships that we've had participating in the program to date. And they're sharing incentives for brands including Chevrolet, Cadillac, Honda, Hyundai, Ford, and Mercedes-Benz. So in many cases, the dealership will let you claim that tax credit at the point of sale, meaning that you don't have to wait until tax time to get the money back. But if you want to take advantage of that, you have to remember to ask for a time of sale report and all the tax credit forms. Make sure the dealer is giving you all of that information at that point of sale so that you know, one, that you can get the point of sale credit and or take advantage of the tax credit come tax time. The IRS also recently clarified that you are still eligible to receive the credit if you have, one, a binding contract and you have made a payment prior to September 30th. So that means if you have a binding contract and you've made a payment, you can actually take delivery of the vehicle, the physical delivery of the vehicle after 9/30. But again, confirm that with the dealership when you make that transaction. So that means there are still less than 2 weeks left to get in, talk to a dealer, and sign a contract. So if you're in the market, this is the time to act. What comes next for the EV market after September? We can't be completely sure. We know that dealers may still have inventory that they want to move and may still be offering deals. We also expect there to be very good deals on used EVs that are coming off of leases. And we expect Montgomery County to continue to be one of the hottest markets for EVs in the whole country. The number of EVs on the road in the county has doubled over the last 2.5 years. So since the start of 2023, we've added over 22,000 plug-in vehicles to the road and only 1,000 gas vehicles. That's a remarkable story of a market that's changing very, very quickly. And so we're going to continue to partner and make investments in charging infrastructure. This year, the county will deploy state and federal funds through the bipartisan infrastructure law that Executive Elrich mentioned to build charging stations in parking garages, community centers, other facilities. And we're also working with local jurisdictions and organizations like the City of Rockville, Tacoma Park, MCPS, Montgomery College, to expand infrastructure throughout the county. And in addition to those projects that the county is leading, there's other private charging providers that are also using federal funds to build stations at apartment buildings and along state highways. So we encourage residents, employers, property owners to contact DEP for any questions or assistance in getting an EV or installing EV charging stations at your property. We are here to help, and come out to Poolsville Day and see some EVs in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boer. Sarah, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah Kogel-Smucker, the county's climate change officer, and thank you, County Executive and Brian Boer, for emphasizing the importance of EVs. I would say I also am an EV owner. I was able to take advantage of the tax credit, and that's very helpful. It is, I hate driving myself, but I love our EV. And if I have to drive, it is by far, hands down, what I would choose to drive. It's a great car. Um, the county transportation is approximately 40% of the county's greenhouse gas emissions are climate change emissions. So EVs are a really important part of how we're going to meet our climate change goals as a community. And if you are in the market for a vehicle and can act quickly, we strongly urge you to do it for all the reasons mentioned, but also, to reduce pollution in our communities. So EVs do not have tailpipe emissions. You're not going to be sitting there idling, polluting in your own community and in your, for your neighbors. And as the electric grid gets cleaner with more renewable energy, because electric vehicles run on electricity, you get to take advantage of that. So powering the car with clean renewable energy as we transform the grid. So for all the reasons mentioned, we strongly urge the public to, if you can, take advantage of this EV tax credit in our last 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the media, will take some questions right now regarding the EV tax credit. Please raise your hands. Any questions for our climate officer this afternoon and/or Mr. Boer? No questions? Thank you both of you for joining us. You could remain on the call if you want to, but if you need to depart, please feel free to do so. Mr. County Executive?
So in other news regarding electrifying Montgomery County, we got a Maryland Energy Administration $2 million competitive grant, and the money is going to help us expand our clean energy efforts, improve efficiency in county buildings, and add new electric vehicle charging stations. Projects tied to this grant include solar canopies and EV chargers at the Shady Grove Transfer Station, upgrades to lighting in county facilities and parking lots, and making the Holiday Park Senior Center our first net zero county facility. These projects alone will reduce energy use by nearly 1 million kilowatt hours annually, generate more than 1,000 kilowatts of clean energy, and help the county save at least $214,000 yearly in energy costs. Beyond those environmental benefits, LED light installations in county garages will help improve safety and provide customer access to our business areas and generate revenues that help maintain those areas. The big winner with the LED light installation is they use a lot less electricity. Our continuing work to make this a greener county is going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, save taxpayers' dollars, and create a healthier community. And I want to thank Governor Moore, the Maryland Energy Administration, and our county departments for their collaboration on small and creative ways to advance better energy solutions. By working together, we're able to show how local government can be a leader in sustainable and bring tangible benefits back to our residents. In a fun thing this coming weekend, there are a couple of fun things coming up. I mentioned Poolsville Day briefly earlier. I also want to mention Burtonsville Day, which occurs this Saturday. The parade there begins at 10 a.m., then continues with the festival from 11 to 3, complete with live music, good food, and packed list of vendors. Many people have already signed up online for this year's 3-on-3 community basketball tournament for kids and adults, and that can be done on burtonsvilleday.org. So if you're itching to play a basketball game this weekend, this is your chance. This annual community festival has become a vehicle for celebrating East County's heritage and diversity while emphasizing our unity as neighbors and friends. And it may be called Burtonsville Day, but it actually encompasses the communities of Hillendale, White Oak, Briggs Cheney, Colesville, Cloverly, and Spencerville. So it's a lot more than just Burtonsville. It's much of the East County. Over the years, before I became county executive, I heard the frustration in the East County. They felt they had been passed by for development, which was true, and that they didn't get the same treatment as the rest of the county did, which was also true. Plans were discussed over time, but development stalled out before we had seen any real changes. But that was the old narrative. Today, we have many examples of progress in the East County over the last few years. We listened to the community when it called for redevelopment of Burtonsville Crossing, and I was able to complete negotiations with the developers so the Burtonsville Crossing has come to fruition. The shopping center has been redeveloped. It has an anchor grocery store and major tenants, and it's a great success story, and it should be mark real progress for us in Burtonsville. At the same time, we're working on the largest development in the history of the East County with Viva White Oak, and we've prioritized this development. It's 280 acres, and we're working closely with the developer. We've made higher education a priority by helping Montgomery College expand its into the East County, and they're laying the roadmap for a fourth campus there as well. And other major additions include Adventist Medical Center, a 230-room hospital, White Oak Tower Center improvements, and the town and the Hillendale Gateway development. So these are big improvements for the county. The White Oak Town Center has, I think it's has an Amazon grocery store. It has another First Watch restaurant, and it's becoming a hub for activity, and really happy to see that happen. And the Hillendale Gateway is hosting a very large apartment development that is going to be the cleanest apartment development in the county up to this point. Redevelopment in East County is good for all of Montgomery County, and Saturday gives everyone a chance to celebrate these wins and come together at the Marilyn J. Praisner Community Rec Center. This is also African Heritage Month, and the county honored our bonds with our African community by recognizing it last week. This celebration has been a proud tradition for 17 years, and it speaks to the strength and vibrancy of our African community. More than 63,000 Montgomery County residents were born in Africa. They are business owners, educators, scientists, and community leaders, and they help make us one of the most diverse counties in the nation. This year's theme is a reminder that African history is American history. That history begins with the enslavement of Africans who were torn from their homelands and brought to the colonies to work on the plantations. I think we all know the horrors of slavery did not end with emancipation. For most of the time period after the Civil War, Black people continued to face segregation and the denial of basic human rights. It wasn't until the end of the 1960s in Montgomery County that the covenants barring Blacks, as well as Jews, from being able to rent or own land in much of the county were rendered unenforceable. And that led to changes for both populations who now could move into most neighborhoods in Montgomery County. As we've become a very different county since then, so much so that today's population is 16% Asian, 21% Black, 22% Hispanic, and 41% white. Montgomery County today has become a diverse, integrated community that values fairness, dignity, and inclusion. And I remind people that in the county, with our population statistics, if you're not diverse and inclusive in your hiring practices, you're not being fair in a community where so many people play a major role in the county's population. As county executive, I remain committed to creating opportunities of ensuring safety and upholding fairness and dignity for everyone. At a time when national policies sometimes seek to divide us, Montgomery County will continue to stand for inclusion and justice. We're not afraid to say those words. It is horrifying that the president is now proposing to literally whitewash American history so he and his followers can pretend that slavery didn't happen and that discrimination didn't end, continued and didn't end with emancipation. I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and I was raised with this drumbeat about how Stalin and Hitler used their power to rewrite their nation's history to fit their narrative. And that was supposed to be something that set America apart from these dictators. I mean, something that people wanted to be proud of is we did not rewrite our history. Now we have a president who is intent on rewriting our history. And instead of standing up for all Americans and owning our history, Trump is following the path of trying to blind people to our history. And that, I think, is a very sad day for America. Of course, they're not going to change what we do in Montgomery County. We're going to teach the truth. That's what the truth is. We're going to continue to memorialize things that need to be memorialized, and we're not going to walk away from it. And someday this nightmare in Washington will end and we'll go back to something more normal. Speaking of normal, we're dealing with vaccines again this time of year. We have COVID vaccines are now widely available. This is the beginning of the season when people get more of these illnesses. We're also beside the COVID-19 vaccine, we've got a frequently asked questions page on maryland.gov, and we'll take visitors through medical guidelines for receiving an updated vaccine and different scenarios they may encounter with a medical provider or a pharmacist. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is updating its guidance for COVID-19, which has left many people in search of answers to questions they have about this year's vaccine. We want to remind the public to talk to their healthcare providers about their eligibility for COVID-19 vaccine or contact health departments for more information about vaccines and immunizations. If you really want to take care of yourself, pay no attention to what Robert Kennedy Jr. says from his position in Health and Human Services. He is running a shop that he doesn't know anything about with people who don't know anything about the work they're doing. And it's a real danger to people, and they're not a source of trusted, accurate information. So we're trying to help, and the state of Maryland is trying to help so people actually do understand what the issues are and what's available. Before we'd open up the questions, I'd like to give my staff an opportunity to provide any updates they want to share. I'd like to welcome Luisa Cardona back to our media briefing, but for the first time now as our new Assistant Chief Administrative Officer. Luisa was just confirmed by the County Council yesterday and has taken over for the role that was vacated with the retirement of Sonia Mora. Previously, she had served as the Wheaton Regional Services Center Director and did incredible work in that community. So, Luisa, let's start with you, and then we can hear from our health team.
Thank you so much. And thank you to you, Mark, especially in the County Council, for your confidence and trust in the confirmation and allowing me to take on this position. It is particularly meaningful as a Latina to have this confirmation take place during Hispanic Heritage Month. And as you noted, I was previously in the Mid-County area, and I will deeply miss that community, and particularly Wheaton, which holds a very special place in my heart. Along with, I will miss this year the celebration that we usually hosted for Hispanic Heritage Month. But out of the reality that we are facing, as the county executive noted, out of intense fears within the community, as well as targeting of the communities, the decision was made to alter what we typically do and to create something that we think will be really beautiful and impactful through an Arte en Alma program. It's an initiative that we are doing. Arte y Alma stands for Art and Soul in Spanish, and it's an initiative that we're doing with Montgomery County Public Schools as well as the Wheaton Arts and Entertainment District, where we will provide $2,000 grants to elementary schools, principals around the Wheaton area in order to have cultural performances honoring Hispanic Heritage Month within their buildings, within their spaces, within the spaces that communities feel safe. This way we don't not only honor Hispanic Heritage Month, but also strengthen families and make resources that people need available to them, because we will be handing out bags with information as well as a craft. So once again, thank you. I want to close by thanking the county executive for not only his confidence in me, but his commitment to celebrating diversity and walking in solidarity with all communities during this difficult time. A very special message that resonated with me that he shared at our Hispanic Heritage small celebration with the Latino board last night was that it's one of his favorite things to be the county executive for Montgomery County, because it is a county that is not afraid of diversity and inclusion. And that really means a lot to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cardona. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Lorna.
Dr. Davis, your turn.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Want to first express appreciation for Luisa Cardona. We at HHS enjoyed working with her in her role as regional service manager and are even more excited to work with her more closely in her new role. I also want to thank the county executive. As a person who is descended from people who were enslaved right here in Montgomery County, I appreciate that Montgomery County isn't trying to whitewash its history. To the point around COVID, flu, and RSV vaccines. It is that time of year. We are in vaccine season. We have seen an uptick in COVID. So if you're wondering if you should get a COVID vaccine, now is a good time to get it. For the last few years, actually, since COVID's been around, we've seen this kind of late summer wave. So this is a good time to get a COVID vaccine if you are considering it. If you are in Maryland, it is pretty easy to do. You can go to just about any pharmacy without a prescription. Those who should be getting a COVID vaccine, so anybody over 65 should certainly be getting one. The American Academy of Family Physicians recommends that anyone between the ages of 19 and 64 should also get one. The government has also recommended that those folks who might have a health condition should get it. So anybody that is increased risk of severe disease. And that increased risk of severe disease is a pretty long list, including everything from sedentary lifestyle to obesity. That unfortunately covers a lot of us. The American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending that children, babies between the ages of 6 months and 2 years should get a COVID vaccine because they probably haven't gotten one before and haven't been exposed as much. And then for those children between the ages of 2 and 18, what the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Family Physicians is recommending is that families have a conversation with their doctor. If those kids have underlying health conditions, they should get it, or if their parents really want it, they should get it. But like I said, it is pretty easy to get that vaccine in Maryland. The biggest trouble we have is folks from DC and Virginia coming over and taking up the slots. In terms of flu, that is pretty much run of the mill, hasn't changed from previous years. We recommend everybody 6 months and up should get a flu vaccine. And for RSV in targeted age groups, so those folks over age 75, everybody or between the ages of 50 and 74 if you have an underlying health condition, as well as babies born during RSV season, which is September through March, or pregnant persons who will be delivering during RSV season, which is September to March. So we encourage folks to start getting those shots. They are in pharmacies. You can rest assured that what is on the shelf now has been updated for the current flu and COVID season. People have been required to get rid of old doses so people can feel comfortable that what they're getting is updated for this season. I also just lastly want to take a moment to highlight that today is National Suicide Awareness Day, and highlight the importance of 988 as a resource and tool. If you or somebody that you know is feeling like things are just too much, that is a resource that is available, and we encourage people to take advantage and use it. We recognize the families who are dealing with the loss of a loved one, family, friends, and that impact that has, not just in the moment, but really for years to come. So we just want to highlight and recognize that for everybody. With that, I will turn it back over to you, Mr. County Executive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Okay, members of the media, we're going to open it up for questions and answers, Q&As, general topics. If you have any questions for ACAO Cardona, Dr. Davis, or the county executive, and I see Ginny Bixby, the banner. Good afternoon, Ginny.
Good afternoon, Lorna. I had a question for Dr. Davis. You spoke a little bit about vaccine access. Could you speak a little bit about what we're seeing? I mean, anecdotally, I'm seeing an uptick in COVID. I had it about a month ago, and I've been very good about getting my boosters, and it seems like a lot of people around me, we're seeing it it really go through, and people who have never had COVID are getting it. And could you just talk about, what are you seeing in this area? And then also, is this the result of new variations? And beyond just making sure you get vaccinations, do you have guidance for folks in the county?
So yes, your anecdotes are correct. We are seeing that in the data. Probably everybody has somebody that they know now with COVID. And we're seeing that, this has been on trend for this time of year. We see it kind of right around when kids are going back to school. I won't say I can necessarily attribute it to going back to school. It started even before school started, probably middle to end of August, and we're seeing it now. What we're hearing from the hospitals is that they are well prepared to handle this. While the numbers are high, it's not any more severe than what we've seen, and certainly not to the rates of what they've faced in the past. It is attributed to newer variants. The COVID vaccine is well matched to that, but the COVID vaccine just got on shelves about a week or two ago. And so this wave, I think, just started a little bit before the shots were available for folks to have access to them.
Gotcha. Thanks so much.
One thing
Oh,
I will add, so people are asking, well, if I have COVID, should I still get the vaccine? If you have COVID right now, then you should wait about 4 to 6 months before getting the vaccine. So if you are having COVID now, then you probably want to wait closer to the end of the year.
gotcha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeannie. I see Kate Ryan, WTOP. Hi, Kate. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Question for Dr. Davis, and this might be a little off the topic, but it does have to do with concerns about a flu, and we're talking about bird flu here. There were the discovery of, I think it was 15 dead vultures in Charles County. I know the threat of bird flu jumping to humans is very low. Do I have that right? Can you talk a little bit about that and how concerned should we be? How watchful should we be on this sort of thing?
So thanks for bringing that up. Yes, it is a concern. Now is kind of the time period as birds are starting to migrate south for the winter, when we may start to see a little bit more of kind of those backyard flocks being infected. And so anybody who does have a backyard flock wants to, make sure that they are keeping a close eye on their birds. I don't have concerns about the food system right now in terms of, we work really closely with the Maryland Department of Environment and Maryland Department of Agriculture in terms of the monitoring and testing that they are doing. They are doing regular testing of the milk supply in case it were to infect cattle herds. They are doing regular surveillance of the poultry farms on the Eastern Shore, where we have seen it. And we had a case in Montgomery County earlier this year, last year, of a backyard flock. And those have all been very much isolated. They are deflocked, and then we test the families to make sure that it's not spreading. So I'll say we're working closely with our partners to make sure that things aren't spreading. But anybody who may have a backyard flock of chickens, you do want to be just a little bit extra vigilant, especially as so many birds are migrating.
And kind of a follow-up on this, do you have any concerns about the current administration at the federal level helping the state track? Because I do know that, milk production, et cetera, it is carefully watched at the state level. But is there any impact in terms of what the feds are doing?
I feel very confident that the state is monitoring closely.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kate. Members of the media, any more questions for the county executive and or officials this afternoon? No more questions?
Actually, I do have one. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
This, on a different topic, Mr. County Executive, we recently had an episode of an ICE action taking place near Eastern Middle School. The principal has sent some letters to the community. Are you hearing anything further on this? And it is Hispanic Heritage Month. I know that this is a huge concern within the community. What are you hearing? And what should people know?
I guess the nicest thing I can say is that in that stop, which was an immigration enforcement thing they're doing, obviously, it didn't start at the school. They've told us they weren't going to do enforcement actions at schools. They would, stay away from that. The person they pursued wound up on school property, and they wound up taking them down on school property. Obviously wish they weren't doing this at all. And I wish they hadn't thought it was necessary to pursue this one person onto school property where this becomes something that kids and parents see. And I'm hoping that they're serious, that this is not going to be normal, but this is more of an aberration that was due to the circumstances, but they'll continue to not do this kind of thing on school property. It's obviously destabilizing for children, and there's probably nothing worse if you're a kid and these are middle school kids, so like they kind of know what's going on in the world. So if they're already worried, and then if you see this carried out in front of them on school property, I'm sure that makes the kids even more nervous about coming to school, and that's the last thing we need. So it does concern me, but I think people should at least know the whole story, and let's hope that ICE keeps its word and sticks to what it said it was going to do.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
and
much.
sorry, I did just want to add, because you said what communities should know. I also think that they should just always be prepared. Please visit the Gilchrist Immigrant Resource Center website. Please make sure that your family has a family preparedness plan. Please encourage your neighbors, those that you know, to have a family preparedness plan. Because really, like right now, as the county executive noted, the most we can do is like encourage people to know their rights, to have the information that they need in order to be prepared.
Thank you for that. Is there someone at the Gilchrist Center that you think we should be in touch with in particular?
As community, there is a line that anyone can contact. In terms of if you had just specific questions about Gilchrist, I'm sure if you reach out to Scott, we can identify somebody.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kate. Members of the media, any more questions this afternoon? No more questions? Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.
Mhm.